We'll begin our day recruiting, and I'm no recruiting guru. I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But even for the layman like me, what happened last week? Like, did everybody know I wasn't going to be here Friday? So the Aggie Sports were like, okay, now let's do the big news. Louie's not here. He can't celebrate it. I was at home, fist pumping, jumping off the couch, going, what the chuck? We'll start with the defending national champion Aggie volleyball team, and they go get the number one player in the country, Maya Abogu. Number one player in the country. Aggie volleyball picks her up. And then Aggie baseball, did not necessarily sprint out of the gate with the portal. And they pick up probably the number one recruit of the year in Nolan Cain. The name is very familiar to Aggies. He was here on the Schloss staff. And Nolan Cain is one of the top recruiting coaches in the entire country. And he went with Schloss to Texas. Now he's coming back to Texas A&M. According to what I saw from Kendall Rogers, he is going to be the associate head coach and, of course, the recruiting coordinator. And he's going to be one of the highest paid assistants in the country. And take a look for a second how much Early has reworked his staff in 2 years. Adding Cliff Pennington, Barry Enright, and now Nolan Cain. And it's the thing I said that Michael Early, look at the growth from year 1 to year 2. And this continues as, 2 goes into 3. We've already seen him hire Enright and now Cain. And if he continues on this growth path, great things, I believe, I would say it appears, are definitely ahead for A&M baseball. But the greatest recruitment so far by Michael Early is getting Nolan Cain back to Texas A&M. Again, he's one of the nation's top recruiters. I don't know if he ranks 2, 3, 5, but he's one of the top 5 recruiting coaches in the country. It's an incredible pickup. And he's back. Now, here's what I want you to think about. So and I don't know why he left Texas. Don't care. Someone, texted me and said, hey, you win with Schloss. It doesn't mean it's fun. It's grinding. It's tiring for players and for coaches, but everybody loves winning. And when you're at the level of Nolan Cain is, he had head coaching opportunities. Guess that's not the path he wishes. And when he decided he did not want to be at Texas, he could have went anywhere. So when you see him return, this tells you kind of his thoughts about Texas A&M, but also his thoughts on Coach Early. This is his choice. He's not one of those that had to take the first job that popped open. He's not one of those coaches that, he only had third choices and 3 choices, and this was the best. He could go, he's one of the top. Maybe there's only 3 better than him or 2, so maybe there's only 2 jobs in the country he probably couldn't take. Because there's programs that would fire their guy to get him. He chose Texas A&M, and he chose to reunite with Michael Early. That's a statement. That's what he thinks of Texas A&M as a program, and that's what he thinks of Michael Early. So it's huge on a lot of different levels. His confidence in the A&M program, his confidence in Michael Early, what it means for Coach Early, what it means for Aggie baseball. That, for me, that's the kind of statements I look for. Those are the signposts of how things are going. Directionally, just period, statement of the program. So I'm pumped. Got a text message, Tap in College Station. Tap is a wise man. Tap is a great man. Will Nolan Cain be like the bench coach also? I read where Cliff will stay as third base coach. Need that experienced voice to bounce thoughts off that isn't the pitching coach as well. I don't want to act like, yeah, I was told. So I don't have that definitive answer, but I think the answer is absolutely. I think without a doubt. Because that was supposed to be what Kelly, the pitching coach. And he's gone. You do have a head coach who's only going to go into year 3. And Nolan Cain does bring that. I think that absolutely has to be correct. Because that role was open with the firing of the pitching coach. And Enright doesn't bring that. Pennington, I think, could, but I don't know if he has enough experience yet. So I think absolutely Nolan Cain will fit that role as the bench coach. So remember, my understanding is he had head coaching opportunities, so he more than can be, there's no doubt, a bench coach easily. So yes, I think the answer to that's a yes. But again, I'm not going to sit there and go, Coach Early called me at the house and said, Lou, I just want you to know. So yes, I believe that's absolutely correct. 979-693-1150. So let's see. Aggie volleyball goes out and gets the number 1 recruit in the country. Texas A&M goes out and recruits the number 1 most important person in the portal, Nolan Cain. Oh, and then Aggie baseball goes out and decides to build a pitching staff in the portal. They went out and got 3, 4, and 5. Earlier in the week, they got 1 and 2. What are you talking about, Lou? Pitchers? They went out and got pitcher number 3, Texas State's Wade Cooper, committed to Aggie baseball. And I know this was the end of the week, but I wasn't here. I'm telling you, it was intentional. A&M Athletics had like a department-wide meeting and said, wait till Lou's gone. And bam, I'm gone. And then this all exploded Thursday afternoon into Friday. Wade Cooper saw him, College Station, reliever, and Cade 73 batters in 66 2/3. True freshman, strikeout to innings, true freshman year. That's what I'm looking at. ERAs can be somewhat deceiving, even though bad is bad. 66 2/3, regular. That's the thing you're kind of looking for. So after that, pitcher number 4, Houston, another true freshman, young, years left. Shows you they're early in their developmental process. True freshman, Caleb Kimball, righty. That was Cooper. Righty, that's Kimball. Kimball, he 22 2/3, so he pitched, not a lot, 0-1, ERA 3.97. His strikeout to walk rate was not really good. 24 Ks, 14 walks, not what you're looking for. But I got a stat. I'm looking for, give me the one number I can hang on to. $167 against, you can work with that. Cut down on the walks, $167 against, but small sample size, true freshman. Aggies did see him. He pitched when Houston played here through a 1-2-3-7. So maybe you caught him if you caught the game. He was pitcher number 4. And I said there was 5. And they got their first lefty, South Carolina reliever. 28 2/3, 34 Ks. 1-0, 3.45 out of the pen. Pitched for a season. Logan Prisco. Now, all these numbers and stats were small sample size for the most part, and it's almost all of them. But Barry Enright, his philosophy, his development, what A&M is going to ask them to do. So for me, we'll see. Am I fired up? Yeah. Just the fact they made a change at pitching coach. That's all I needed to believe in the future of the pitching staff. I'm not going to lie to you. That was enough to give me hope for 2027 Aggie baseball pitching. It was just a change in the pitching coach position. And you know what? All Enright has to do to make Aggie pitching better is know when your pitcher is done before the scoreboard tells you. That's it. Seriously. Because I think that was one of the worst things over the past 2 years, is generally never knowing when your pitcher was done until the scoreboard, until everybody in the stadium knew too. We get an upgrade at that, and I don't mean upgrade, be good at it. And I think you can change, what was their ERA a year ago? It was 5.5? Something just horrific. But you can avoid these crooked numbers. You can avoid the game getting out of reach. You can keep your team hanging in there. Now, having 3 weekend starters, and no, you don't need 3 aces, will go a long way towards that too. But you got to know your pitchers, man. You got to know when they're done, even before they do. That's what I want to see from Coach Enright. So A&M now, 5 pitchers in the portal. Remember, it all started with what? Johnny Nunez, the righty, Wichita State, 6-2, 2.56. Then you got Evangelista, the kid from UNLV, high ERA, nice strikeouts though, really good strikeout rate. Think you can work with that. And then last week they added 3 more from the portal. Cooper, Texas State, Kimball, Houston, Prisco from South Carolina. When you put together the total pitcher, and I'll ask this question to you, do you find yourself excited about 27, excited about the future? Because I'm fired up. Enright plus Cain has me excited about the direction. Like I said, I wanted to see Early take the next step in his development, and I think these moves show that. They have me excited about where it's going. And year 1 to year 2 is a step up. Not advancing out of your own regional will always be a disappointment, whether you're a year 1, year 10, year 20 coach. That's not relevant the year. That's just disappointing. So far this offseason, phenomenal, I feel. Exciting as hell. I need a timeout. I do. We'll be right back. It is the Louie Bellina Show. It is Monday. We're just getting started on The Zone.
The Houston Astros play on the zone. Thanks to Kelly Bird Dozer.
Where is your hype excitement meter for Aggie Baseball 2027? You look at what Early's done as we've just started the Aggie Baseball season. I'm talking about Enright, Cain, even the first 5 pitchers in the portal. 1 to 10 scale. Where's your Aggie Baseball excitement hype meter for 2027? Because I find myself really just excited by the totality of it all. It shows the learning curve. It shows not sitting there and going, let's give it a chance. No, let's give it another chance. Like, you've seen those coaches who are like, no, man, let's give it a third chance. And you've wasted 3 years kind of thing. You know, Pennington a year ago, Enright, Cain this year. Look at the staff turnover, and I don't know. I'm pretty fired up right now. Where are you? Scale 1 to 10, text. I mentioned I'm gone Friday, and Aggie Athletics goes on this recruiting spree where Aggie Volleyball, number 1 recruit in the country, defending national champs. Aggie Baseball, Nolan, Cain, I'm putting them in the recruiting category. 3 more pitchers. Well, Aggie Football wasn't going to be left out of this party, were they? No. Because what was it? Thursday afternoon? They get the number 1 outside linebacker in the country in Caden Henderson. Now, I got to call him a 4 3/4 star because I've seen him get the 5 mark. I've seen him get the 4 mark. But all I know is he's the number 1 outside linebacker in the country. That should be a 5-star. Who cares? Seriously. I don't know if he's a 6.5 star, 4 3/4 star. Take a look at this defensive haul that Elko's put together. 5-star. Oh, it's just nuts. Frederick Ards. Well, okay. Other outside linebacker, Frederick Ards, Caden McCarty. They now signed 3 of the top 10 outside linebackers in the 2027 class. Henderson, Ards, McCarty. So 3 of the top 10. Period. End of conversation. Now, DB Henry, DB Snell, D tackle Smith, D tackles Patman. They're putting together one of these elite level defensive classes that, man, I hyperbole, I'm getting carried away. They go on to make history. It's insane how high end. I'll give you another perspective. ESPN Recruiting wrote this, not Louie Bellina thought. Quote, the Aggies could be on their way to signing a historic 5-star class in 2027. Since the start of the ESPN ranking era, which is 2006, only one program has signed more than 4 5-star pledges in a single cycle. Now, ESPN Recruiting is the stingiest when it comes to stars. One of the reasons why I look at them. Now, people always argue this one sucks, that one is biased. Every single recruiting that does rankings, program, website, alphabet soup, has haters. One of the reasons why I always look at ESPN, I look at all of them, by the way. We hang out every day. I look at all of them during the course of time, right? I love the stinginess of ESPN Recruiting. So that's why they've only had one. Since 2006 is when they started. One program, one time only, has a program signed more than 4 5s. A&M right now has 5 using the consensus. But ESPN has them tied for this historic achievement. Alabama in 2014, only program that signed more than 4 5 stars. A&M currently has, tied with the 4. It's insane right now what Elko's doing with the 2027 class. Now, the test is going to be, you bring them all in, how fast can you get them up to SEC speed, and can you still win playing that many freshmen because they can't sit or they leave at the end of the year? It'll be interesting. It will be. Back to Caden Henderson. His official visits were 3, LSU, Miami, A&M. He was supposed to go to Notre Dame this weekend. Didn't check to see if he went. Committed to Texas A&M. But he did visit LSU, Miami, A&M, and he's from Florida's Jesuit High School. So A&M just 5 stars D-line, top ranked outside linebacker now. And man, I have talked about for about 20 years now, if not 24, 25, what I tend to find when you look at the most elite of SEC defenses is what? Linebackers. Because let's start with this. If you don't have the D end, it doesn't matter. Like, we're talking about what are the signatures of the greatest SEC defenses, not a great Big 12 defense, because that's an oxymoron. Yeah, Texas Tech last year, that was pretty impressive, no doubt. So there's an exception to every rule. But in SEC, where year in, year out, there's a defense or 3 that are just insane. You got to have a D-end. You got to have the insane monster, first-round NFL pick. Build your foundation, cover corner. But what then separates the top 3 elite-level SEC defenses from the next 3, which are probably top 20, but they're not top 10? Linebackers. Guys that could cover sideline to sideline. Guys that almost single-handedly shut down the entire middle of the field. And when you have that guy, your defense ranks up. Your defense levels up. And A&M has been scrambling to cover up for linebackers that are not necessarily as athletic. Linebackers that are half a step slow and can't cover. Linebackers that have bad fits sometime. The A&M's been chasing their tail on that. And then in this class, A&M's going to have 3 of the top 10 outside linebackers. It looks like there's a commitment to fix the linebacker situation. And it goes pre-Elko. How long now has A&M been trying to get linebackers, fix linebackers? They've been converting people to linebacker. Because even when they've had starting linebackers, they haven't had depth behind it, which catches up to you too. But when you want to go from a very good defense, a defense that can make plays, to elite linebacker. Because you got to have the rush edge who terrorizes every passing down. Got to have one cover corner. You don't have those, you can't go to lead anyway. And then that linebacker, the elite, owns the mid. Got to have one. Will A&M be bringing the next one or two in with this class? To be continued, obviously. But yeah, like I said, the end of the week last week, what happened to just across the board, A&M recruiting? It was kind of fun. And don't forget, in this class, we're talking about where they have 5 stars and 4 3/4 star too. 5-star offensive tackle Kendi Brown, 5-star offensive tackle Mark Matthews. 2 of the top 3 offensive tackles in the cycle. It's pretty insane class coming in. Hey, observational note. Did you notice that Caden Henderson committed on the Pat McAfee show? And then Texas got a 5-star cornerback, John Meredith III. He committed on the Pat McAfee show. Oregon picked up a 5-star wide receiver, Dakota Garrett, and he committed on the Pat McAfee show. The ESPN influence. Because Pat McAfee, I'm not sure if he wants high school kids committing on a show, but ESPN, with their college football coverage, I'm pretty sure they want high school kids committing on their shows. And not sure about you. Is that where you want to go to have to go find your high school recruiting? But it's one of those things you watch, the further integration about ESPN, just controlling the total package of college football news. Something I saw last week and hadn't seen that before. I think that's new to this cycle, but maybe it's not. Now let's take a time out, come back. I do want to still stay on the high school landscape for just a moment, if that's cool with you. This is the Louie Bellina Show. Monday, I'm inside the Charles Schwab studio where the air conditioning is holed up, so I still feel pretty good about it. Low cost, oh man, this weekend. Anyone else feel like this was the first true weekend of summer, by the way? Friday, Saturday was so oppressive that I went and got my first full haircut of summer, because I always get a summer cut. I was in the Marine Corps, so I'm comfortable with short hair. When I say short hair, I went in Saturday morning and I said, hey, grab the clippers, half, all the way around. And when you tell them that, the people doing the haircut get so nervous. You know why? Because they think you're making a mistake. Like, most people don't understand what half means. You're going bald almost. And they ask you like 2 times, if not 3, are you sure? Do you know what it means? And because once you get it, you can't take it back. And then you're going to be mad at them. And I told her, I go, oh, I was in the Marines. And you saw her noticeably go, like, oh, you know what you're talking about. I laughed. I thought it was funny. So I got my summer cut. It was so hot this weekend. Oh yeah, that's nothing to do with anything. This is the Louie Bellina Show Monday from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all local. How can Charles Schwab be local? We got Mark Sim right here in College Station. Walk through the door, look him in the eye, shake his hand, sit down. That's local. That's Mark Sim. Find him online at schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Don't ask unless you want the truth, because you can't handle the truth. Weekdays, 11 to 2 on The Zone.
Zachary in College Station. Our last historic class left me traumatized for life. It was some time ago. You got to move on, dude. If you're going to live the rest of your life that way, that's a rough way to be. The last historic recruiting class was an absolute bleep show. It was an absolute nightmare. That was then, this was now. There is nothing I have seen so far in any way, shape, or form that makes me confuse Mike Elko for Jimbo. Does it you? And unless that statement is false, in other words, you look at Elko and you think of Jimbo all the time, there's no reason to think that an Elko class will turn out the way Jimbo did. So I would say don't confuse the two. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. Jimbo was chasing the number 1 ranking, and that was more important than vetting the players. Jimbo just wanted that one. Like it would be a plaque on his wall for life versus, yeah, that player's never going to play here, but it gets me ranking. So, and Elko's a builder. Since the day he got here. I mean, that's what I've seen with like every decision, every move he's made has been building. So he said it himself, at the first press conference, there's no elevator, there's no shortcut to the top. So I don't think he'd be like, you know what? College football playoff, every year's trended right. I just want to have a number one recruiting class. I'm just kind of tired of being patient. I don't see that, Zachary. So be traumatized, move on. See, boss is real. I've said that for a couple hundred years now. But there's enough things going on to unboss, move on from boss, or if you don't think it's possible to put the boss down for a while. Even though when I say things like that, not this spring, but a year ago spring was enough to bring boss back. It happens. But Zachary, it's your decision. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Text or call, whatever works. If you call, D4 Land Services hotline. Join me. I said we're going to, one more high school thing, then we're going to move on. I saw, and I kind of laughed because I said way too early, National High School Football Top 25. We don't do a lot of that, but it just stood out to me. Texas rules the world. And it does. Top 3 teams, all Texas. DeSoto is number 1. Duncanville 2. South Lake Carroll, number 3. All names I recognize. I'm not a college football expert. I don't even play one on the radio. I said college football. A lot of people just laughed and went, that's true, Lou. That hurt, man. I'm not a high school football expert. Don't play one on the radio, but I recognize all those. Like over the years, even decades, it's the same gang. DeSoto 1, Duncanville 2, South Lake Carroll 3. You know who's 5? North Shore, Texas. So 4 of the top 5 national top 25 teams, high school, are Texas teams. You got Allen at 11, North Crowley at 14, Aledo at 16, Summer Creek at 20, C.E. King at 21, Waxahachie at 22, and Geyer at 23. All Texas teams. Now, California has representation. Florida has some representation. Not as much as it used to be fair. And its usual suspects, Mater D, California at 6. IMG Academy, Florida is at 10. And but Texas dominates. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the top 25 are Texas teams, including 4 of the top 5. Talent-rich state, obviously. Obviously. I wanted to, and I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, The Athletic is having fun. They asked a simple question, and there's a reason why they asked this. Did college football peak in the 1990s? The case for a golden age goes beyond nostalgia. Why did they ask this question? Because of the World Cup. Huh? Well, the last time the United States hosted the World Cup was 1994. So in honor of that, they're looking at sports in the 90s and college sports in the 90s, and that's their question for college football. Did it peak in the 90s? And if you don't like peak, the simple concept was it the golden age of college football in the 90s. And I was alive then, and not just alive, but maybe in my prime. If you're an Aggie football fan, it was the decade of excellence. A&M was winning conference championships. A&M, tried so hard to kick the door down, but Cotton Bowl was kind of a house of horrors. I mean, just Aggie football perspective. A&M absolutely owned and embarrassed Texas. Now, towards the end of the decade, Mac Brown happened. Things are starting to change. But it was the decade of excellence. But they didn't say Aggie football. College football did it peak. Was it the golden era? Now, if you didn't live it, obviously you can't say yes, which is tough. But the more I think about it, I kind of lean towards the yes. That golden era. Was it the best golden era? Here's what really stood out to me thinking about it. Like, why do I feel like probably yes? In the 1990s, here's two things. One, college football changed forever because in the 1990s, the Florida schools evolved college football. We were still kind of at the end of the 80s playing the double tight I formation, run, punt. The forward pass was still optional. You still had wishbones, veers, wing tees. I mean, the game was still that state. But when the Florida schools decided that speed kills, and I think it started with Miami in the 80s, and then both the other Florida schools joined in with Bowden and Spurrier, the game changed forever. I love offense. I love speed kills. And then speed kills, obviously defenses had to upgrade to speed too. You didn't just put 22 people within 2 yards of each other in the line of scrimmage. I love the game evolved in the 90s, sorry. So that's part of the golden era to me, was how the game evolved due to the Florida schools. College football in the 90s, college football conferences won the TV lawsuits, and we came out of the era where we were watching like maybe 2 games in a day or 3 to, it's not like today where all the games are on and they're scheduled horribly. You can't watch what you want. We get these 3-hour windows for college football. Please tell me the last time you watched a 3-hour college football game. Like, and then TV just shoves the times around, and, you know, your best non-conference game, Arizona State's at 11. The TV times, and we got to the point now where you got more college football on TV. Non-conference games, teams scheduled each other. Non-conference schedules were awesome in the 90s. Sure, there were still some mutts, but it was so much better. So the TV scheduling first opened up. We had more games, and non-conference was better. It was an awakening after like the conferences won the TV lawsuit. We didn't have as much media. So you had people say things in the 90s. It was before 7 million fan sites, boards. By the way, I'm not saying we should go back to any of this. I'm not saying any of it was better. But now everybody's scared. Coaches don't talk. Media days tend to be pretty dry. But back then, you had Steve Spurrier. Lane Kiffin is a nickel store knockoff of Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier would say it. He had no problem standing by it. And he'd just double down and triple down and say more. There will never probably be another Steve Spurrier, period. We had Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson will never exist again because of the ESPN Fox wars. You can't have someone who loves college football. They have to love who they work for first and college football second now. We'll never have another Keith Jackson. It just won't happen. Expansion has destroyed rivalries. So, sure. Some still exist, but, rivalries. I do miss all of them. It was a staple of college football. You would watch a rivalry that had nothing to do with you, and you'd feel the hate through your TV set. And so many of them are dead or kind of lost the juice, to be fair, in my world anyway, I feel like. I vote yes on the base concept. Peak. See, I don't like peak. Did college football peak in the 90s? I'm not sure. But the case for the golden age, yeah, I think 90s was the golden age. But peak, ooh, that's a tough one. You can text if you want, but yeah, 90s college football was pretty epic. 979-693-1110. 1150. One final time out. We'll wrap up our first hour together. It's the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. CC Electric. It's the Louie Bellina Show, Monday on The Zone.
I am the one who knocks. TexAgs Live knocks down the competition from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the Zone 1150 a.m. and 93.7 FM.
Kind of 90s nostalgia college football. And again, was it the golden age? Was it the best era? That's kind of the question concept at play. And it's so funny. The Athletic, which put forth this concept, provided 90 reasons why it was. And now we're not going to go through all of them, but some of the highlights for me: the Spurrier-Bowden rivalry, No Shoes University, well, free, FSU, Florida State, right? FSU, Free Shoes University. Conferences that made sense. Now, some of these New Year's Days bowl games mattering, true, but no, never really. Expansion that made sense. To be fair, I'm going to tell you something. All the expansion actually has made sense until the ACC. And with the G5/6, any expansion makes sense for them. 90% of the expansion has made sense. And then there's the ones that you go, what just happened? UCLA and USC's in the what? But for the Big Ten, it was brilliant to get a West Coast presence. Anything Keith Jackson, they have like 5. Keith Jackson saying, whoa. Keith Jackson saying fumble. Keith Jackson was special. They had some fun, like the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl. Oh, those bowl names. They gave the Southwest Conference a shout out. And here's the quote. The Southwest Conference, rest in peace, you magnificent, dysfunctional beauty. Real ones know you taught the SEC how to cheat, and that's the truth. Before the SEC went through their 90s spree of cheating, where half the league was on probation, the Southwest Conference did it better. Look at SMU, only school to get the death penalty. And I've said this a couple hundred times at this point, but the Southwest Conference had to die, deserved to die. There's no, oh, it never should have, I wish it was here. That's not the storyline. But the Southwest Conference was awesome, but needed to die, should have died, had no right to live. So I wanted to be clear. 90s, USC, UCLA feeling important. And they said something here, and this is the nostalgia in me, but waiting out Sports Center for some highlights of Steve McNair at Alcorn State. The old days, the olden days. There's more. Now, 90s wasn't all perfect. There's parts of it that you're happy that are good and dead, but it was pretty great stuff. We'll be back. Mitch Light joined us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. You're listening. This is the Louie Bellina Show, Monday on The Zone.
Your home for TexAgs Live, the Louie Bellina Show, and Chip Howard Sports Talk is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Listen on the Zone app or online at radioaggieland.com or tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
Play Zone 1150.
Listen live on your phone, smart speaker, computer, or the Zone app. Powered by Loyalty Plumbing, where craftsmanship and loyalty is their business. Visit loyaltyplumbingllc.net. Take the Zone and your favorite teams and shows with you wherever you go.